Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. The other day I did my YouTube live and something went horribly wrong. I don't know what it was, but it stuttered and it finally just kind of gave out. So I decided that I would do another video on the card that I made during that live. So these were the products that I used. I used the Quiet Meadow stamp set, and then a new punch. This is a new tag punch, and you can see it's got lovely sort of broderie anglais type punch detail at the top here. So as I say, I'm going to go through the card and you'll be able to see how it came together. So I used a couple of new colors. One is the new in color, which is called Wild Wheat. Still getting my head around these colors. And then I also used the Pecan Pie, which is a new core color in the neutrals family. And the other product that I used, and I've already done this so I don't have to clutter up my desk with my cut and emboss machine, is this embossing folder, which is called Distressed Brick. And it has fast become my favorite. It's one of the things I keep reaching for, and I just love it because it's got like the brick effect and then some, I don't know, well, distressing, just as it says really, so that when you run your piece of card through, you get this lovely effect. And I just adore it. It's fantastic embossing folder. So those, if you like, are kind of my new products. And the stamp set has been around for about a year now, but it's new to me. And I love it because we've got some eclectic images. So we've got some sort of type here and some splodgy dots, which if you watch my videos, you know I love dots, as well as a lovely flower and all sorts. So that's what we're going to use today. So I'm going to make a start by doing some tone on tone stamping. And basically that means I'm going to use the Wild Wheat ink on the Wild Wheat card. And I'm going to just use the dot stamp all around the edge to give it some texture like that. So that's it. Now my card base is 11 by 4 1/4, and then this piece of card is, oh, there's my ruler. This is 5 by 3 3/4, and that's gonna go on like that. The other thing I want to do is to use my blending brushes. This card had a vintage feel about it, so I'm using my blending brush to really vintage up the card as much as I can. So I've got some ink on, and I'm going to start off my card, and then I'm just going to bring it in here like this to just take, if you like, some of the crispness of the color off of the card, and emphasize that beautiful brick effect. You can see it's really brought it out now. And then I've been quite firm around the edges, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of ink in the middle, just to, again, can't really see a lot of it, but it's there. And then I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive to just stick it down onto my card like that. And there's my kind of my base set up. And we're also going to put a liner in. So this is where we do my To You Love From Me. And I think probably an envelope as well. So let's get that bit done while we're at it. So as I said, we've got this lovely stamp here that's kind of a type one, but it's got bits missing. And I think it goes really, really well with the distressed embossing folder and a vintagey look. So I'll use the wild wheat, and this time I'm going to use a stamping off technique. So we've got quite a few techniques going on in this particular card. So I'm just going to stamp off one time, and then I'm going to stamp, and then I'm going to just stamp again so that I get variations of colour. And I'm going to do the same thing for my envelope. Like that. Okay. And then on the inside, I think I will just, is this the wild wheat? I've got this little stamp, it's a little flower, and I'm just going to gently stamp. You have to be quite careful with this little stamp, because if you get, can you see I've got ink around the edge? If you wobble or press too hard on the card, you'll find that you'll get a little halo, and you won't be at all happy with having a halo. So I've got first, second and third generation stamp in there. And we're going to vintage this bit up as well. So again, just take the brush. I don't want a lot. I don't even think I need to put any more ink on it, to be honest. So there's that vintaged up. And then for my envelope, I'm going to use this lovely big flower. But I'm just going to use a little bit of it. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'm just going to stamp over like that. And that gives me, again, another vintagey feel. And there's nothing to stop you just doing the edges of your envelope and giving that a good old vintage up as well. You can see I've not put any more ink on, but there's quite a lot of ink that you can see actually on there. And why not do the flap as well? Hey, and we could go a little bit crazy, and we could go and put a bit of the flower on there as well. So now we've got our envelope, we've got our filler. We're going to go ahead and just pop the filler, the liner rather, inside. I like to use these liners. I always supply them in my card kits for my classes and my online offerings, because it just finishes the card and gives you somewhere perfect to write your To You Love From Me in there. Right, so now we're going to do our decorative front piece, and we're going to bring in this lovely new punch, and you can see that it's kind of got a groove, and it takes a 2-inch piece of paper. So I've got a piece here. This is vanilla card, and it is 2 inches wide and 4.5 inches deep, long rather. Now, through experiment, I've shown to myself that when you punch, you lose about 1/8 of an inch either end. So this will give me a finished piece. Let's push that in, then make sure it's nice and flat, and then use the flat of your hand to push this down. And you can see that that's about 1/8 of an inch. So this was 4.5, and so if I measure this now, it's literally a hair under 4.25. So all I've lost is like 1/4 of an inch. So you can use that for planning purposes. Make sure that you don't run out of, you don't make your piece too long or anything like that. Right. So now we're going to decorate this up, and to line up with what we've put on the other pieces, I'm going to do a stamping off technique with these letters again, and I'm going to perhaps do second generation or even third generation, because I've stamped that off. And I'm going to bring this down here, and I'm going to put again up here. So that's really pale at the top, so you don't lose out too much on this lovely punched there. And then I'm going to bring my big flower back in, because that's our focal point. Now my piece here is a bit on the long side, my stamp, and I don't want to get my stem over this bit. So I'm gonna need to put a greeting in. So I'm gonna use You're Too Kind, and I'm gonna pop that toward the bottom. So I don't, as I say, I don't want to get my stem crossing over that. So I'm going to get a little bit of scrap paper, and I'm going to pop it over like that, just to give myself a mask. And then I can then put my flower in, like that, and then when I pull that away, that's where my little flower ends, and it doesn't crash into my greeting. And I do have a little bit of space, so we're going to go with this tiny little flower again, and we're just going to fill in, and I'm going to use like second generation stamping as well. And by that I mean I'm going to stamp once, and then I'm going to stamp again without re-inking, and then I get my variety. And it's a bit like stamping off on your grid, on your scratch paper, but it doesn't, but you're sort of getting your two colors actually, or your two shades on there. Right, so I think I've got enough. Now we're going to go back to the vintage jing again. So I'm doing that again with the pecan pie ink, and I'm going to pick some ink up and start on my scratch paper. Now the reason I'm doing that is that if you start on your piece of card, you might get a bit of a blobby bit of ink, and rather than a nice shading. So That's why we do that, and just move it on to the card. And I'm just going to make sure I cover that all over. And there's my piece. So if you look at the color that it was there, you can see that it has picked up quite a bit of the ink, but not too much. All right, so I think I'm pretty much done with my stamping and my ink and all that stuff. I'm going to move it out the way so I don't get covered in ink myself. And then we're going to pop this, so that I'm going to pop this like this on the card. And I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, and you can see that I've pretty much used this sheet up, the pre-cut ones, but these edges work brilliantly. So we're gonna cut some of these edges up so that we can use those. So there's an original. And then here's some little pieces. There we go. Now, because this is quite a long piece of card, I'm going to go ahead and put a piece in the middle just so it gets supported. Yeah, so that particular day, I have no idea. I think we were having problems with our internet. And it was just awful. I just felt so bad. I realized something wasn't right, so I figured that if I kind of just carried on, maybe it would sort itself out. Yeah, wishful thinking, and it never did. My little bit of additional vintaging is I'm going to use this lovely linen thread, and I'm going to make a double bow. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a length and fold it in half, and then I'm going to make my bow. So I use the rabbit ear technique, and I do have videos on the rabbit ear, on making bows. You can always find them on my channel. And so I'm just going to pop that underneath like that. There we go. I got my lovely, I've got two bows at the top. I'm just going to snip that bit, and again I'm going to leave these a little bit longer because I think the unevenness adds to the vintageness, if that makes sense. I'm just going to pop that on with a glue dot. Where's my, oh, there it is. Just get my take your pick tool. I'm going to pop it in there and let that all sort of dangle down. And then just as a final little bit, I'm going to be using these lovely Neutrals adhesive sequins. Now they are they've got adhesive on them, and you can see that they come in sort of coppers and silvers and golds, and I think that the this dark color is going to be the way to go. I'm going to go with this sort of really dark color, and I'm going to put, I think, a couple on here, and then I'll put a couple of the large ones on that pecan pie layer. There we are. I think that's it. I'm not going to put any more on. So what do you think? Again, I'm sorry if you watched the original live and things went all a bit pear-shaped, but hopefully now you can see the card for what it is. Well, thank you for joining me again. If you've enjoyed the video, go ahead, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't already do so. And I'll look forward to seeing you at my lives, which is Sunday noon Central Time. And thank you for spending some time with me today. Bye-bye for now.